The first time I saw Marcus Chen, he was carrying a mini fridge up 3 flights of stairs like it weighed nothing, his black t-shirt clinging to his shoulders with sweat. August in Boston was unforgiving, and our apartment building had no elevator. "You must be the roommate," he said, flashing a grin that could have sold toothpaste. "I'm Marcus. Fair warning, I'm messy. I stay up late gaming, and I will eat your leftovers if you don't label them." I laughed despite my nervousness. "I'm Daniel, Danny. I'm probably too organized. I go to bed early, and I will absolutely label everything now." "Perfect. We'll balance each other out." That was 3 years ago. 3 years of living with someone who became my best friend, my partner in crime for terrible movie marathons, my emergency contact, and unfortunately for me, the person I'd fallen hopelessly, stupidly in love with. The problem, Marcus Chen was aggressively, undeniably, completely straight. I know because I'd watched him date half the women in our graduate program. There was Jessica, the pre-med student, then Amanda from his engineering cohort, then that barista whose name I'd blocked from memory. Each relationship followed the same pattern. Intense beginning, Marcus getting bored after 3 months, amicable breakup, 2 weeks of him eating ice cream on our couch before bouncing back to his usual self. "I just haven't found the right person," he'd say, scrolling through dating apps while I graded papers beside him, my heart quietly breaking. I'd come out when I was 19, survived the awkward conversations with my traditional Korean parents, and spent my early 20s dating sporadically. By 27, I'd convinced myself I was fine being single. My dissertation on 20th century American literature kept me busy. My friends provided social fulfillment. I didn't need romance. Then Marcus moved in and destroyed that careful lie. Our apartment was a cramped 2-bedroom in Allston, the walls so thin we could hear our neighbors arguing about whose turn it was to buy toilet paper. But it was ours. Marcus had claimed the room with better light for his gaming setup. I'd taken the smaller room and converted our living room into a combination library and study space. We fell into rhythms. Marcus cooked breakfast, he made incredible omelets, and I handled dinner. We alternated cleaning weeks. Friday nights were sacred. Terrible horror movies and homemade popcorn, our tradition since month 2 of living together. "This is the worst CGI I've ever seen," Marcus said one Friday, throwing popcorn at the TV as a rubber monster attacked poorly acted teenagers. "That's what you said last week," I pointed out. "Last week's was worse. This week's is just tragic." He stretched, his arm landing casually across the back of the couch behind my shoulders, not touching me, but close enough that I could feel his warmth. I'd trained myself not to react to these moments. Marcus was tactile with everyone, always clapping people's shoulders, pulling friends into hugs, existing in a space of easy physical affection I envied and craved in equal measure. "Hey, random question," he said during a particularly boring scene. "You seeing anyone?" My stomach dropped. "No, why?" "Just wondering. You never talk about dating. I mean, I know you're out and everything, but you never bring anyone around." "Neither do you lately." "Fair." He grabbed another handful of popcorn. "Amanda texted me yesterday, wants to reconnect." He made air quotes with his fingers. "Are you going too?" Now that ship sailed. He turned to look at me, his dark eyes serious. "Can I ask you something personal?" "Depends how personal." "What's it like, being gay? I mean, like, how did you know?" The question caught me off guard. In 3 years, Marcus had never asked about my sexuality beyond the initial "cool, thanks for telling me," when I'd come out to him during our first week as roommates. "That's a big question," I said carefully. "You don't have to answer if it's weird." "No, it's okay. I paused, trying to find words. "I guess I always knew something was different. Like, when other guys in high school were obsessing over girls, I was obsessing over my lab partner, Tyler. It took me a while to admit what that meant." "Were you scared when you figured it out?" Terrified, I admitted. Not of being gay, really, but of how people would react. My parents were. It was hard for them, still is sometimes. Marcus nodded slowly, processing. That must have been lonely. It was, until I found people who got it. I looked at him. Why are you asking? Just curious, I guess. You're my best friend, and I realized I never really asked about this part of your life. He smiled, but something about it seemed off, too careful, too practiced. Want another beer? Sure. He disappeared into the kitchen, and I sat there wondering what had just happened. Why my straight roommate was suddenly curious about my coming out story at 11 p.m. on a random Friday. I had no idea that conversation was the beginning of everything changing. The questions continued over the next few weeks, casual and seemingly random. Do you think sexual orientation is fixed or fluid? Marcus asked one morning while making eggs. That's what you're thinking about at 7 a.m., I mumbled into my coffee. I listened to this podcast about it. Some researcher was saying sexuality exists on a spectrum. I mean, yeah, that's pretty accepted now. Kinsey scale and all that. Right. He plated the omelet with unusual focus. So like, someone could think they're straight but actually be bi, or think they're gay but be pan. Sure, people figure themselves out at different rates. Some know from childhood, some don't realize until they're 40. I studied him over my coffee mug. Why the sudden interest in queer theory? Just expanding my mind, Danny boy. He grinned, but it didn't reach his eyes. Eat your eggs before they get cold. Then there was the night he came home from a date with someone named Melissa, a marketing executive he'd met at the gym. I was reading on the couch when he walked in at barely 9:30. That was quick, I said. Yeah, he collapsed beside me, running his hands through his hair. I don't know what's wrong with me. What happened? Nothing. She's great, funny, smart, gorgeous. We had good conversation. She definitely wanted to come back here. But I felt nothing, Danny. Like, I was sitting across from this objectively amazing woman, and all I could think was that I'd rather be home watching bad movies with you. My heart did something complicated. Maybe you're just burned out on dating. Maybe. He turned his head to look at me, and there was something in his expression I couldn't read. Or maybe I've been looking in the wrong places. What does that mean? I don't know, he stood abruptly. I'm gonna shower, thanks for listening. I sat there long after I heard the bathroom door close, trying to ignore the dangerous hope blooming in my chest. The weirdest moment came 2 weeks later. I'd gone out with friends from my program, a rare occurrence since I usually preferred staying in. When I got home around midnight, slightly buzzed and in a good mood, I found Marcus on the couch in the dark, his face illuminated by his laptop screen. Hey, I said, dropping my keys on the counter. Why are you sitting in the dark like a serial killer? He jumped, slamming the laptop shut. Jesus, Danny, you scared me. What were you looking at? Nothing, work stuff. How was your night? Good, we went to that new bar in Cambridge. I flopped down beside him, the alcohol making me less cautious than usual. This guy bought me a drink. Marcus's whole body tensed. Yeah. MMHMM. Tall, blonde, very forward, I laughed. Not my type, though. What is your type? The question came out sharp, almost aggressive. I turned to look at him, surprised by his tone. I don't know why. Just wondering what kind of guy catches Danny Yoon's eye. He was looking at me intently, his jaw tight. Are you okay? You're acting weird. I'm fine. He stood up, grabbing his laptop. I'm tired, going to bed. He disappeared into his room, leaving me alone and confused on the couch. Everything came to a head on a Wednesday in October. I'd had a brutal day. My dissertation advisor had torn apart my latest chapter. I'd spilled coffee on my only clean shirt, and the subway had broken down, making me late for office hours. I came home exhausted and frustrated to find Marcus in the kitchen, cooking something that smelled incredible. "Rough day?" he asked, not turning from the stove. "The worst. I'm making your favorite. Sit, drink this." He handed me a beer. Something in my chest cracked at the simple kindness. This was why I loved him, not just because he was beautiful, though he was, but because he knew me. He paid attention. He cared. We ate dinner mostly in silence, but it was comfortable. After, we migrated to the couch with our usual Friday night setup, even though it was Wednesday. "Breaking tradition?" I asked. "You need terrible monsters and fake blood. Doctor's orders." Halfway through the movie, Marcus shifted closer. Not unusual, we often ended up practically on top of each other during our movie nights, but then his hand found mine on the couch between us. I froze. This was different. This was deliberate. "Danny," he said quietly, not looking at me, still holding my hand, "can I tell you something?" Of course. My heart was pounding so hard I was sure he could hear it. "I've been thinking a lot lately about things, about myself." He took a shaky breath. "About you." "Marcus, let me finish, please." Finally, he turned to face me, and what I saw in his eyes made my breath catch. Fear, confusion, and something that looked terrifyingly like longing. "I think I've been lying to myself for a really long time." "What do you mean?" "Every relationship I've had, I sabotaged it. And I told myself it was because they weren't right, or I wasn't ready, or whatever. But the truth is," he squeezed my hand, "the truth is I'd always rather be with you. Doing nothing with you is better than doing anything with anyone else." "We're friends," I said, even as my world tilted. "It's normal to prefer your friends." "I'm not finished." His voice was firmer now. "A few months ago, I started having these dreams about you, and at first I thought it was just weird sleep stuff, but then I'd wake up and the feelings didn't go away. I'd see you in the kitchen making coffee and my chest would hurt. You'd laugh at something stupid and I'd want to kiss you. I couldn't breathe. This wasn't happening. This couldn't be happening." "I've been researching," he continued, words tumbling out faster now. "Reading articles, watching videos, trying to understand what I'm feeling. And I think, Danny, I think I might not be as straight as I thought I was." "You think?" I repeated, my voice hollow. "I know how that sounds." I pulled my hand away, standing up. "No, Marcus, you don't." "Danny, do you have any idea what you're saying right now?" Anger surged through me, hot and unexpected. "You think you might not be straight. You think you have feelings for me." "I'm trying to be honest with you." "You're experimenting." The words came out harsh. "You've dated women your entire life and now you're bored or confused or whatever, and I'm convenient. I live here. I'm safe. You can test out your little identity crisis on me without any real risk." Marcus looked like I'd slapped him. "That's not what this is." "Isn't it? What happens in 3 months when you decide you're actually straight after all and you want to date another Amanda or Melissa? Where does that leave me?" "I wouldn't do that." "You don't know what you do because you don't know what you want." I was shaking now, 3 years of buried feelings erupting. "I can't be your experiment, Marcus. I can't be the guy you try out being queer with just to figure yourself out." "Is it so impossible that I might actually have feelings for you?" His voice rose to match mine. "That this might be real?" "Yes," the word ripped out of me. "Because I've been in love with you for 2.5 years, and I've watched you date woman after woman, and I've made my peace with it. And now you want me to believe that suddenly, conveniently, you have feelings for me too. I'm not that naive." The silence that followed was deafening. Marcus stared at me, his face cycling through shock, hurt, and something else. "You love me," he whispered. I laughed bitterly. "Of course I love you. How could I not? You're brilliant and kind, and you make me laugh, and you remember that I like my coffee with 2 sugars, and you cook me dinner when I've had a bad day. You're everything I want and everything I can't have." "Danny, I need you to leave me alone right now." I headed for my room. "We live together. I can't exactly leave you alone. I turned back, then I'll leave. I grabbed my jacket and wallet and left the apartment, Marcus calling my name behind me. I walked for hours through Boston streets, my mind chaos, until I ended up at my friend Priya's apartment in Somerville. She took one look at my face and pulled me inside. I stayed at Priya's for 3 days. She didn't push me to talk, just gave me her couch, fed me, and let me exist in my misery. You have to go back eventually, she said on day 3, handing me coffee. I know. You want to talk about it yet? I told her everything. She listened without interrupting, and when I finished, she was quiet for a long moment. Can I give you my honest opinion? She asked. Do I have a choice? Danny, I love you, but you're being an idiot. I stared at her. Excuse me. You're so busy protecting yourself that you're not actually hearing what he said. He told you he has feelings for you, real feelings. And yeah, he's figuring out his sexuality, which is scary and messy, but that doesn't make his feelings less valid. He might be confused. So what if he is? People are allowed to be confused. Sexual orientation isn't always this clear-cut thing you figure out at 15 and never question. Some people's understanding of themselves evolves. But what if he changes his mind? What if he doesn't? She leaned forward. What if he's telling you the truth? What if he really does have feelings for you and you're throwing it away because you're scared? Of course I'm scared, I said quietly. If I let myself hope and it doesn't work out, I'll lose my best friend and my home and everything. And if you don't let yourself hope, you lose the chance at something real with someone you love. She squeezed my shoulder. There's no safe option here, Danny. You're going to have to risk something. I came home late that afternoon, my heart in my throat. Marcus was sitting on the couch, looking like he hadn't slept in days. When I walked in, he stood up so fast he knocked over his coffee mug. Danny, I'm so sorry, I shouldn't have. Let me talk, I interrupted, please. He nodded, sitting back down. I stayed standing, needing the distance. I'm sorry for what I said. You were trying to be honest with me and I attacked you for it. That wasn't fair. You had every right to be upset. Maybe, but I still shouldn't have dismissed your feelings. I took a breath. The thing is, Marcus, I meant what I said. I do love you. I have for a long time, and that makes this complicated. It doesn't have to be. Yes, it does. I finally looked at him directly. Because if we do this, if we try whatever this is, and it doesn't work, I don't just lose a boyfriend, I lose you. And I don't know if I can survive that. Marcus stood, crossing to stand in front of me. So we don't let it not work. It's not that simple. Why not? His eyes were fierce. Danny, I've spent the last 3 months trying to talk myself out of this. I've made lists of reasons why I can't feel this way. I've gone on dates trying to prove I'm still attracted to women. Nothing works. Every road leads back to you. You don't know that you're actually attracted to men, I said desperately. You might just be attracted to me specifically, and it's confusing, I know, but... He kissed me. One moment we were talking, and the next his hands were cupping my face and his lips were on mine, and my entire world narrowed to that point of contact. He kissed me like he'd been thinking about it for months, like he was trying to prove something, and God help me, I kissed him back. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, he rested his forehead against mine. Still think I'm confused, he whispered. My hands had somehow found their way to his waist. That doesn't prove anything. Then let me prove it. He pulled back just enough to meet my eyes. Give me a chance, Danny, a real chance. Let me take you on a date. Let me show you this is real. Marcus, I'm not asking you to have all the answers. I don't have them either. But I know what I feel when I'm with you. I know that you're the first person I want to talk to when something good happens. I know that sleeping with you in the next room feels right in a way nothing else ever has. And I know that the idea of losing you is worse than any risk. I wanted to say yes, Every part of me wanted to say yes, but the fear was still there, cold and insistent. "What if you wake up tomorrow and realize this was a mistake?" I asked. "What if I don't? What if tomorrow and the day after that and the day after that I still feel exactly the same way?" He took my hand. "Danny, I can't promise I won't screw this up. I probably will. I've never dated a guy before, I'm going to make mistakes. But I can promise that my feelings are real. This isn't experimentation. This is me finally understanding something about myself that's apparently been true for a long time." "How long?" He smiled softly. "Remember that trip to the Cape last summer? We stayed up all night talking on the beach." "Yeah." "I remember looking at you with the sunrise behind you and thinking you were the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. And then I immediately thought, no, that's weird, Marcus, he's your friend." But the thought didn't go away. It's been there ever since, getting louder. Tears burned my eyes. "I'm terrified." "Me too." He squeezed my hand. "So let's be terrified together." Our first date was awkward as hell. Marcus insisted on doing it properly, which meant he picked me up at the apartment we shared, brought flowers, and took me to an Italian restaurant in the North End. We sat across from each other, both nervous, the weight of 3 years of friendship sitting between us alongside the breadbasket. "This is weird, right?" Marcus said finally. "This is definitely weird." I laughed, tension breaking. "So weird. We've had dinner together 1,000 times, but now I'm worried about whether I'm supposed to, like, gaze into your eyes or something." "Please don't gaze. You'll make me laugh and I'll choke on my pasta." He grinned, and suddenly it felt less like a first date and more like us. We talked the way we always talked, about his work project, my dissertation, whether the pizza we'd had last week was better than the pizza we'd had the week before. But there were new elements too. His foot found mine under the table. When he laughed at my terrible joke, his hand covered mine. Walking home, he laced our fingers together, and I felt like a teenager experiencing hand-holding for the first time. "Can I kiss you goodnight?" he asked outside our apartment door. "We live together. You're going to see me in my pajamas in like 10 minutes. "Doesn't matter. I want to do this right." So I let him kiss me on our doorstep, soft and sweet, like we had all the time in the world. The next few weeks were a learning curve for both of us. Marcus approached dating me the way he approached everything, with thorough research and determination. He read articles about queer relationships, watched coming-out videos, joined online forums. "Did you know there's a whole debate about who pays on first dates in same-sex relationships?" he asked one morning, showing me his phone. "Marcus, you paid for dinner." "Yeah, but I want to make sure I'm not, like, accidentally enforcing heteronormative dynamics or whatever." "We can split next time if it makes you feel better." The article says we should discuss financial expectations openly to avoid resentment. I took his phone and set it down. "Or we could just figure it out as we go, like normal people." "I don't want to mess this up." "You're overthinking it." I kissed him quickly. "Just be yourself, that's who I fell in love with." But his nervousness was about more than just dating etiquette. He was wrestling with his identity, trying to reconcile this new understanding of himself with the person he'd thought he was for 29 years. "Do you think I'm bi?" he asked one night, lying with his head in my lap while I read. "Or pan? I've been reading about labels and I don't know what fits. Does it matter right now? I want to understand myself." "Okay, but maybe you don't have to have it all figured out immediately. You can explore without needing to immediately categorize everything." "Were you always sure you were gay?" "Pretty much, yeah, but that's my journey. Yours is allowed to be different." He was quiet for a moment. "What if I'm only attracted to you? Like, what if you're the exception and I'm actually straight except for you?" "Then that's okay too." "Is it? Doesn't that make this harder?" I set down my book, running my fingers through his hair. "Marcus, I need you to hear me. I don't care what label you use or don't use. I care that you're honest with yourself and with me. That's it. I am being honest. I'm crazy about you. He turned to look up at me. That's the one thing I'm completely sure of. Our friends had mixed reactions to our relationship. Priya was ecstatic and took credit for talking sense into me. My other grad school friends were supportive but cautious, worried that I was setting myself up for heartbreak. Just be careful, my friend James said over coffee. I've seen this before, straight guys who experiment with their gay friends and then go back to women when it gets complicated. Marcus isn't like that. I hope you're right. Marcus's friends were a different story. Most of them had assumed he was straight because he'd only dated women, and his coming out was met with surprise and some skepticism. Dude, are you sure? His college buddy Travis asked when we ran into him at a bar. Like, no judgment, but you were totally into women last time we talked. I can be into both, Marcus said evenly. Yeah, totally, I mean Danny's cool and all, but are you sure you're not just going through something? I felt Marcus tense beside me. I'm sure that I'm dating someone I care about and who cares about me. That's all that matters. Later, walking home, he was quiet. You okay? I asked. Do you think he's right, that I'm just going through something? Are you? No, but what if people always think that? What if they never take this seriously? I stopped walking, pulling him to face me. What other people think doesn't define what this is. Only we get to decide that. I just want people to understand this is real. Then we show them it's real, by being us exactly as we are. 3 months into our relationship, I came home to find Marcus sitting on the couch, staring at his phone with an expression I couldn't read. What's wrong? I asked, setting down my bag. My parents want to visit. Oh, we'd carefully avoided the topic of telling our families. My parents knew I had a roommate named Marcus, but not that he'd become my boyfriend. When? Next weekend. He looked up at me. They want to meet you. They've met me. I've done video calls when they visit. They want to meet you as my boyfriend. My stomach dropped. You told them? Yeah, last week. He stood, crossing to me. I'm sorry I didn't mention it before. I needed to do it when I was ready, and then it happened really fast. They called and asked if I was seeing anyone, and I just said it. Yes, his name is Danny. We live together. I'm in love with him. How did they react? Shocked, confused, my mom cried. He winced. But they want to meet you properly. They want to understand. I thought of my own parents, who still sent me articles about nice Korean girls they knew from church, who changed the subject whenever I mentioned dating. Are you ready for this? No, but I want to introduce them to the person I love. I want them to know you. Marcus's parents arrived on a Saturday afternoon. His father, Richard, was tall and stoic, an economics professor at UC Berkeley. His mother, Linda, was warm but clearly nervous, her smile too bright. We'd spent the morning cleaning the apartment and preparing lunch. Marcus had changed his shirt 3 times, and I'd talked him down from a panic attack at 11 a.m. They're going to hate me, he'd said, sitting on our bed with his head in his hands. They're not going to hate you, they love you. They're going to think I'm making a mistake, that you're corrupting me or something. If they think that, we'll deal with it, together. Now, sitting across from his parents at our small dining table, I felt like I was being evaluated. Every word I said seemed to be weighed and measured. So, Danny, Richard said, cutting his chicken with precision, Marcus says you're getting your PhD in literature. Yes, sir, 20th century American literature. Planning to teach. That's the hope. Competitive field. Very. Linda jumped in, her voice too cheerful. And you and Marcus have been roommates for 3 years. That's wonderful that you're such good friends. We are, I said carefully, and we're also dating. The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. Marcus reached under the table and squeezed my knee. Yes, Linda said, her smile faltering. Marcus mentioned this is all very new for us. It's new for me too, Marcus said, but it's also the most right thing I've ever felt. Richard set down his fork. Son, you understand our concern. You've never shown any interest in men before. This is a significant change. I know. We just want to make sure you're not making a decision based on confusion or loneliness or... Dad, Marcus's voice was firm. I'm not confused. I'm in love with Danny. He's not a phase or an experiment. He's the person I want to build a life with. The certainty in his voice made my chest ache. Linda's eyes were shiny. But what about children? What about? What about being happy? Marcus interrupted. Isn't that what you've always wanted for me, to be happy? Of course, but... Then trust that I know what makes me happy. The rest of lunch was tense but civil. After his parents left, promising to process this and talk more soon, Marcus collapsed on the couch, exhausted. That went well, he said sarcastically. I sat beside him. It went better than my parents, trust me. They think I'm going through a crisis. Maybe you are, maybe we both are, but that doesn't make this less real. He turned to me. Do you ever doubt this, us? Every day, I admitted. But then you smile at me over coffee, or you remember something I said 3 weeks ago, or you kiss me like I'm the only person in the world, and I stop doubting. I'm going to prove them wrong, he said fiercely. I'm going to show them this is real and permanent and everything I want. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. I want to prove it to you. It happened on a random Tuesday in March. I came home from campus to find Marcus on the couch with a woman I'd never seen before. She was beautiful, long dark hair, bright smile, and she had her hand on his arm, laughing at something he'd said. My stomach turned to ice. Danny, Marcus stood up quickly. This is Sophie. We went to undergrad together. She's in town for a conference. Nice to meet you, Sophie said, standing to shake my hand. Marcus has told me so much about you. Has he? I managed. Sophie was just leaving, Marcus said, something urgent in his eyes. I'll walk you out. They disappeared into the hallway and I stood in our living room, irrational jealousy and fear coursing through me. This was it. This was the moment I'd been dreading. He was going to realize he missed being with women. He was going to. Danny, Marcus came back in, closing the door behind him. I can see your brain spiraling from here. Who is she really? I told you, a friend from college. She reached out because she's in Boston and wanted to catch up. She was touching you. She's tactile. Lots of people are tactile. Did you date her? What? No, she's married, has been for 5 years. He crossed to me. Danny, look at me. I did, reluctantly. What's actually going on here? He asked gently. I don't know, I saw her and I panicked. Because she's exactly the kind of person you used to date, and what if I what? Suddenly realize I'm straight after 6 months of being with you, he cupped my face. That's not how this works. But it could. You could wake up one day and... Stop. His voice was firm. You're letting fear make up stories. Sophie is a friend. That's all she's ever been. And even if she wasn't married, even if she showed up here and declared her undying love, I wouldn't care. Because I'm with you. I chose you. I keep choosing you. But you used to choose people like her. And now I know better. He kissed me softly. Danny, I can't spend our relationship trying to prove to you that I'm not going to leave. At some point, you have to trust me. I do trust you. Do you? Because it seems like you're waiting for me to fail. Like you've already decided this is going to end badly. His words hit like a slap. That's not fair. Isn't it? Every time we have a difficult conversation, you shut down. Every time I mention the future, you change the subject. It's like you're protecting yourself from something that hasn't even happened. Because I'm scared. So am I. He stepped back, running his hands through his hair. You think this is easy for me. Coming out at 29, redefining my entire understanding of myself, dealing with my parents' disappointment. I'm terrified, Danny, but I'm doing it anyway because you're worth it. But I need you to meet me halfway. Tears burned my eyes. I don't know how. Start by believing me when I tell you I love you. Start by trusting that I'm capable of knowing my own feelings. Start by imagining a future with me instead of just waiting for the end. What if I can't? Something in his expression crumpled. Then I don't know what we're doing here. He walked to his room and closed the door, leaving me alone with the wreckage of my own fear. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed, replaying the fight, hating myself for letting my insecurity poison something good. Priya's words from months ago echoed. You're so busy protecting yourself that you're not actually hearing what he said. She was right. Marcus had done everything right, been honest, been patient, been committed, and I was still holding him at arm's length, waiting for the other shoe to drop. At 3 a.m., I got out of bed and knocked on his door. Come in, he said, his voice rough. He was sitting up in bed, clearly not sleeping either. I climbed in beside him and he didn't push me away. I'm sorry, I said quietly. You're right about all of it. Danny. Let me finish. I've spent so long protecting myself that I forgot how to actually be in a relationship. I've been treating this like it's temporary because I'm scared of how much I want it to be permanent. And that's not fair to you. It's not just about fair, he said. It's about trust. I need to know you believe in us. I do believe in us. I'm just not very good at believing in myself, at believing I deserve this. He turned to face me fully. Why don't you think you deserve to be happy? The question broke something open in me. Because loving me cost you your certainty. You had to rethink everything about yourself because of me. Your parents are disappointed in you because of me. And what if, at the end of all that sacrifice, you decide I wasn't worth it? Danny, he pulled me close. Loving you didn't cost me anything. It gave me everything. It gave me honesty. It gave me the courage to be myself. It gave me a partner who sees me, really sees me, and still chooses to stay. I do see you, I whispered. Then see this too. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not experimenting. I'm not confused. I'm in love with you, and that's not going to change because some pretty woman laughs at my jokes or because my parents need time to adjust. You're it for me, Danny Yoon. You're my person. I kissed him then, pouring every ounce of feeling into it. Apology, gratitude, love, hope. When we broke apart, I kept my forehead pressed to his. I want a future with you, I said. A real one. I want to stop being scared and start actually living this. Yeah. Yeah, so let's do it. Let's be terrified and hopeful and messy and real together. He smiled, bright and beautiful. I can work with that. The shift after that fight was subtle but profound. I stopped waiting for our relationship to end and started actively building it. We talked about the future, where we'd live after I finished my dissertation, whether we'd stay in Boston or move closer to one of our families, what our life together might look like in 5 years, 10 years, beyond. I want a dog, Marcus announced one Saturday morning. We can barely keep our plants alive. A low-maintenance dog, we'll train it together. Is this your way of saying you want more commitment? Maybe. Is it working? I pulled him down for a kiss. Yes. We went to a shelter that afternoon and came home with a 3-year-old mutt named Pancake, who immediately claimed our couch as his territory. We're dog dads now, Marcus said, watching Pancake snore. That's pretty domestic. It is, you having second thoughts. Not even for a second. My parents visited in May. I'd finally told them about Marcus over the phone, a difficult conversation that involved my mother crying and my father's long silence. But they agreed to visit, to meet him properly. They're going to judge everything, I told Marcus the night before they arrived. The apartment, it's going to be uncomfortable. We'll survive it, we've survived worse. He was right. Dinner was stilted and awkward. My parents overly polite to Marcus, their disappointment a palpable presence. But there was also a moment when my mother saw a photo of us on the bookshelf, Marcus kissing my cheek, both of us laughing, and her expression softened. "You look happy," she said quietly in Korean. "I am Uma. That's all I wanted for you, happiness." I know. It wasn't acceptance, not fully, but it was a beginning. Marcus's parents came around more slowly, but they came around. His mother started sending me recipes, since you're the one who cooks dinner, and his father asked about my dissertation with genuine interest. At Christmas, they invited us both to California and introduced us to extended family as Marcus and his partner, Danny. "Partner," Marcus repeated in the car afterward. "That's progress, right?" "Major progress." My aunt asked when we're getting married. I nearly drove off the road. "What did you say?" "I said we're taking it one step at a time." He glanced at me. "But for the record, I wouldn't be opposed. Eventually." My heart skipped. Eventually. "When you're ready, no pressure. I just want you to know I'm in this for the long haul." I finished my dissertation in the spring. Marcus was there for every milestone, every late-night panic session, every breakthrough, every moment of doubt. When I successfully defended, he was in the audience, grinning like I'd won a Nobel Prize. "Dr. Yoon," he said afterward, pulling me into a kiss in front of my entire committee. "I'm so proud of you." "Get a room," Priya called out, laughing. "We have one," Marcus shot back. "Actually, we share one now. We moved his stuff into my room last month." I blushed. We had, in fact, finally converted my old room into the home office I'd always wanted, combining our lives in that final, domestic way. 1 year after that first confession, I woke up to find Marcus already awake, watching me with soft eyes. "What?" I asked, my voice rough with sleep. "Just thinking about how far we've come." "Feeling nostalgic." "Feeling grateful." He kissed my forehead. "Remember when you thought this was a phase?" "I was protecting myself." "I know, and I get it now. You'd been hurt. You needed time to trust this." "And now?" "Now I trust it completely." I rolled over to face him properly. "You know what the best part is?" "What?" "You're exactly who I thought you were. Kind, brilliant, funny, stubborn as hell. Loving you didn't mean discovering someone new. It meant finally admitting what I'd known all along. That I'm irresistible," he teased. "That you're home." He pulled me closer, and we lay there in the morning light, Pancake snoring at the foot of the bed, the sounds of our life together humming around us. My phone buzzed, my mother, sending a photo of a recipe she thought I'd like, a small gesture that meant she was trying. Marcus's phone chimed with a message from his dad about a photography exhibition he thought Marcus should enter. Our families were learning. We were learning. Love was always learning. "Hey," Marcus said softly, "I love you." "I love you too. Even though I eat your leftovers. Even though you eat my leftovers. And I'm messy. You balance me out, remember? You said so the day we met. Best decision I ever made, getting you as a roommate." "Second best," I corrected. "Best was falling in love with me." Arrogant, he kissed me, but accurate. We lay there, wrapped in each other and the future we were building, imperfect, uncertain, absolutely real. I'd spent so long believing I didn't deserve love like this, that happiness was for other people. But Marcus had shown me something different. He'd shown me that love isn't about perfection. It's about choosing someone every day, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. He'd shown me that identity is a journey, not a destination. That figuring yourself out doesn't make your feelings less valid. And he'd shown me that sometimes the person you need finds you in the most unexpected way, living in the next room, making terrible omelets, slowly becoming the center of your entire world. "What are you thinking about?" Marcus asked. How lucky I am. We're both lucky. Yeah, I agreed, smiling against his shoulder. We really are. Outside, the city was waking up. Inside, we stayed in bed in no hurry to face the day. There would be challenges ahead, there always were, but we'd face them together the way we'd faced everything else. One day, one choice, one moment of love at a time.